What's up and welcome y'all, it's Brandy here with another reaction video. Today we will be reacting to Too Much Butter. Butter boiled chicken, 18th century cooking, Townsend. Um, we're gonna get right into this video. Let's see what's going on.
Today's recipe will either be the very best chicken ever. Welcome to 18th Century Cooking. I'm your host, John Townsend. Today's recipe will either be the very best chicken ever done or a very expensive disaster. It's called Chicken the Dutch Way. Thanks for joining us as we savor the flavors and the aromas of the 18th century. This recipe is from The English Art of Cookery by Richard Briggs. This is 1788. Let me read to you this recipe. It says, fowl or chicken the Dutch way. Take a fowl or chicken, truss it as for boiling, singe it, beat 4 cloves, 4 blades of mace, a half a nutmeg fine, chop half a handful of parsley fine with some pepper and salt, mix them together, put them in the inside of the fowl or chicken. Flour it all over, put it into a stew pan, and clarify as much butter as will cover it. Stew it gently for 1 hour, then put it in a china bowl with the butter. Send it up hot. Can you imagine a chicken completely covered in clarified butter and cooked? Again, a very expensive dish, and I just can't imagine what's going to happen to this poor chicken after an hour of cooking in clarified butter. But you know what? We are going to find out. So clarified butter here, we've got a nice big pile of clarified butter. This is maybe half of what we're going to need. We're going to need a lot of clarified butter if we want to put this into a cooking vessel and submerge it in clarified butter. And clarified butter is regular butter that we've heated up and separated out the milk solids. So we want just the butter oil of our butter to cook in. Obviously, if we're kind of pushing that up to a higher temperature, those milk solids will, cook off and do strange things. We don't want that. So we clarify that butter. We just get the butter oil that we're going to be cooking in here. So we're going to create a spice mix that goes inside the bird. We've got salt, pepper, we've got cloves that we're going to crush up along with some mace and some parsley chopped up. And of course, we're not going to forget to put in the nutmeg, which is in every one of these recipes. We've got our spice mix all put together, ready to go inside the bird. It doesn't really call for a lot of anything else going on in here. Obviously, we don't need to butter the inside of the bird because it's gonna be completely filled with butter. I'm not gonna do anything super fancy with this trussing. We just wanna make sure that the legs and the wings are all tucked in and aren't flopping around there. So let's just tie that up. Our bird is all trussed up. This is gonna hold together nicely. Our spices are inside. This is gonna take a little bit of flouring the outside. I'm not sure exactly, why we're flouring the outside of this, but that's what the recipe calls for. So we're gonna make sure that this is done. Put some flour on our bird, top and bottom. I've got a nice coating of flour on the bird here. The directions aren't exact as we get here about what happens. Because the bird is floured, I think what we're gonna do is go ahead and have our oil, have our butter, our clarified butter, already heated.
Your eyes are gonna look years and years younger in 2 minutes. 2 minutes, you're gonna have
kind of up to temperature. We're not frying this bird, but since we floured it, we want to kind of cook that in immediately. So we're going to get this butter up to temperature before we put the bird into it. So let's fill this up with, not totally fill it up, but get it mostly filled with our butter, and then we can put our bird in as soon as that gets up to heat. So here it is. It's our chicken drowned in butter. This smells really good. I know that cooking fish, maybe lobster, in poaching that in butter is, pretty common. I don't know. I've never had it done with chicken. If you've had that, make sure to pop down in the comment section. Tell us about that. I'm intrigued to see just how the flavor turns out on this one, whether a bunch of that butter flavor comes in or, just how that works out. It's really very, very nice and tender. I think you could go crazy with the herbs on the inside. I would put even more in even now, and maybe even do a rub on the outside right before this went in instead of the flour. And maybe that way they were trying to imply that in the recipe. It's like, oh yeah, with the flour and the other things, you could put those spices on the outside. Turned out really, really moist. I mean, it doesn't dry out at all, so it's really, really good, and done to perfection too. That when it's sort of simmered in that really deep butter bath, it's cooked all the way through, but not too far. I don't think. It's really good. So the one thing I'm amazed about, and I was maybe concerned about, was overdoing the butter. So I almost thought it's like maybe this is just going to kind of fall apart and sort of the butter's just going to make it too oily. That's not really that way at all. We didn't get a ton of butter flavor in there. I thought maybe it was going to really capture a lot more of that, but I'm surprised it didn't. But they did say to serve it with the butter. So one of the things I think they really meant to have is almost like that bowl of warm butter that you can dip the chicken into, which I think is really what they're implying by that whole method of serving. And I think that would really help this out a lot. Let's see what a little bit of dark meat from the leg does. Now that's a lot more like what I was expecting. There's a lot more butter around that, and it's dark meat, so it's got the super moist, really. So excellent way to turn this out. A very, very interesting experiment, and definitely turned out a little bit different than I was expecting. Maybe not the best chicken ever, but I think if we had sort of attacked those spices, I think we would get there. And certainly a super moist and actually very easy way to cook this chicken to make it turn out really nice. Pretty much foolproof, really. At the beginning, I said this is either going to be the worst or the best, right? And you know what? I think we actually hit somewhere in the middle. It's a really, really good way to cook a chicken. Probably a little expensive with all this clarified butter, but again, it does work out very, very nice. It does make a very nice chicken that, chicken can either, you can bake it and it can turn out too dry. It's not anything like that. It's very, very good. If you want another great chicken recipe, we did this chicken wings recipe. Oh, it turned out so good. Try this out.
The wait is over.
I'm not gonna lie. I would do that. I would try that. I mean, it is basically kind of sort of frying chicken in a way. Like, that's what it is, really. And me, totally, like, I know that's what the recipe called for, but I would have seasoned the outside as well, because I like, knowing it's just inside of the chicken, I know it's not going to be a lot of flavor there. So I would have did a rub on the outside as well as the inside, and then put the coat of flour on there. And it's really smart that he thought to heat up the oil before just putting the chicken in there with the flour, and then the oil isn't hot. The butter isn't hot. It's just I imagine the butter just, getting like a gooey paste, and eventually just like not sticking onto the chicken once they start cooking. Like, that's what I imagine that it would have done. So it was very smart of him to heat up the oil first. And I'm definitely gonna sub to his channel because he obviously have a lot of cooking videos, and I love the scenery. I love the going back into the 18th century for the cooking and stuff like that. I really enjoy stuff like that. The scenery was nice. It was just, it was different. I really enjoyed this, and I would definitely one day I may definitely just try their recipe, like doing the little cooking the chicken in butter, because honestly it looked very much moist, it looked tender, it just looked very appealing. It was very appealing to my eye, and I kind of like, my mouth is watering. I'm hungry. I want chicken. Like, I want that now. But the original link to the video will be down in my description box. Make sure y'all go like, show some love to support to that. I enjoyed the video. I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. Until next time. Bye.